Welcome to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast for club owners, operators, and fitness professionals. Each week, host Bryan O'Rourke brings you an expert interview with a global influencer at the crossroads of fitness and technology. You gain the insights, tools, and inspiration you need to stay connected to the pulse for what matters most for your business in the age of exponential technologies.
Hello, listeners, and welcome. I am your host, Bryan O'Rourke, and we are now going to have the 123rd episode of the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. Before we get into the details of our guest and some interesting information on some of the things that Samsung has just released in the last day or two, I want to talk about the IRSA show 2021. We're going to be in Dallas. It's the 40th anniversary show. It's going to take place October 13th through 15th. The show is going to happen. I know the Delta variant has come up, maybe raised some questions. Check out ursa.org. Dallas County is probably one of the highest vaccinated, from my reading, areas in the country. It's going to be a safe environment, so I am going to be there with a lot of other people, and I really hope to see everyone there. It's going to be a great show, so I wanted to mention that, as well as the event coming up in Europe in November, which we'll have links to this in the show notes, so please check it out. I have gotten a lot of feedback, by the way, from our show from before with our friend Leon Rudge on using tech to create great member of value. Check it out if you haven't listened to it before. Really got some great feedback from a lot of folks on that one, so we appreciate, Leon, you participating in the last podcast. So let's talk about our guest today. If you've seen some of my content before, or you've attended a keynote that I've done in the last several years, you might have seen me mention Samsung. Of course, I mentioned Apple, Google, and other big tech firms in the context of what they're doing in health. And we have Mark Notton joining us from the UK, and he has been the Senior Director and IM Category Manager at Samsung Electronics for a couple of years now, with a background at Motorola, a pretty strong tech background. And he really shares a lot of insights for us on some of the new product releases that are going on. And most recently, I think, again, a day or two ago, is Samsung's Galaxy Watch 4, which we're going to talk about some of the features of that product and strategy that Samsung is taking over and engaging and in pursuing with respect to Samsung Health, and a lot of other innovations that are underway. So I think you're going to find this interview with Mark to be really insightful. So without further ado, let's join the conversation with Mark Notton and myself. Welcome, listeners. As I was saying in the introduction, Samsung is just such a innovative business, and for those that don't know, a major participant in innovation around devices, wearables, content, Samsung Health being a massive aspect of their undertaking. And of course, in the intro, I mentioned Mark Notton, who's joining us today. Mark, thanks for participating and sharing your insights with our listeners.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on the show.
So in your role, in your senior leadership role around Samsung and Samsung Electronics, can you share with the listeners some of the innovations Samsung has been involved with in the past when it comes to health and well-being?
Yeah, totally. So we're a huge organization, and we invest a lot of money in R&D across many different areas, and one that's been getting even more attention most recently has been how we can bring all the technology advances that we've built into our devices, be them smartphones, be them tablets, be them watches or earbuds, and really start to integrate a whole service software backend component that allows both the user and also fitness professionals, health and wellness professionals to be able to utilize that data in a way to deliver many different services to consumers. So these are things like all of the different sensors that we have been working for a long time on integrating and miniaturizing, putting them into devices and giving the access for people to be able to utilize the data that's collected to improve people's fitness or improve their lives. So it's a very large scope of work. It crosses across multiple divisions within Samsung, but we believe that it is a great way of using our technology for good. And the announcements on our new watches is the next step in that mission.
Mark, tell us a little bit about this, because I know there have been, in the last day or two, a number of major announcements for new products and solutions that you all are providing. Can you share with the listeners a little detail about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been working very closely with Google over the last year or so on looking at how we can take all of the advances that we've made in watch design, in sensor design, in battery life and processing power that we have in our existing range of devices, and looking at ways that we can then connect that to the wider ecosystem. And the main piece of work that we've been doing in collaboration with Google is looking at how can we re-architect the platform of the software so we can still provide a familiar user experience for Samsung users with the One UI base that our watch owners, of which there are millions around the world, are familiar with, but also further evolve the support for third-party applications and standard Android apps that can then mean that the burden on the developer is a lot lower, because it can be just built for this new platform, this new Wear OS platform that we've built with Google, that would then allow many different solutions to be built, because the architecture previously was one based on a Samsung Tizen base. The new one is completely open architecture that any developer can code to, and any developer can take the benefits of all the sensors and the data and build that into their app. But it just means that the architecture itself is more open to innovation, and that provides a huge opportunity for any fitness professionals, any tech developers, app developers out there to really think about how can they use this new platform.
That's amazing. I want to get into more of that. But let's talk, if you don't mind, the new watch device. You all just released that, correct?
Yes, yeah, we just announced on the 11th of August. So yes, it's a very brand new device.
And tell me, if you don't mind, in the listeners, what kind of new features are built into that device? What kind of things or key innovation points have been released as part of that new product?
Yep, so at platform level, all new platform. So we covered that already. When it comes to device features and functionality, what we've done with previous versions is build many sensors in. These are things that can measure your SpO2 rate. These are things that can measure your blood pressure, your heart rate. You have an ECG sensors in there, so you can track for any heart abnormalities. So these are all the evolution that we've had previously. What we've added with these new watches is, for the first time, is a body composition analysis. So these are bioelectrical impedance analysis that you would get from in a professional gym, that somebody would stand on some scales and hold some sensors, and you would get a breakdown about your body composition, things like skeletal muscle, basal metabolic rate, water retention, body fat percentage, these sorts of things. We've actually integrated that functionality into the watches. So you can do all of that now on your wrist. We've got two sensors that sit underneath the watch, and then we have two sensors with the buttons on the side, and just purely by putting your fingers on them for 15 seconds, it will then perform that scan and give you your body composition. So you can maintain your fitness levels, you can see where you are on your goals, and gives you all that data that then you can use, or a professional could use, to try and develop a plan to improve any stats that you want to focus on. So this is the first time ever on a watch that this technology has been used, and we think it's an amazing addition to all of the great work that we've already done over the last few years. So yeah, we're super excited for consumers to try it for themselves.
In general, and I'm going to get back to the fitness component, and by the way, we'll have the links in the show notes, everyone, on the new product so you can check it out, etc. But as a personal note, I've been following Samsung for a long time, and I think a year or two ago, and we'll put this in the show notes, when you talk about innovation between Bali, the conceptable rolling robot, to the exoskeleton work that Samsung has done, and we'll have some videos in the show notes. I mean, just some amazing development work on innovation with these products. And I would assume that this Samsung product that you just released has got to be the most advanced smartwatch in the world with all that functionality.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not only from the hardware side. I mean, this has got the most sensors in, the most technology built into a device. But the watches themselves are beautiful. I mean, these are things that are elegant and
Yes.
design-led first.
Yes.
So because we're very conscious that we don't just want to put a tech that is not particularly good-looking on someone's wrist, because they won't want to wear them. And they certainly want to wear them to the gym, or they won't want to wear them out to a restaurant. But all of these devices, since I stood on stage a few years ago in Berlin to unveil the Galaxy Watch, and we designed that with a Swiss designer, a very prestigious Swiss designer. So some of the materials that are used on there, the interface and the way that all of the contrast of the colours and the textures done is based on Swiss watch engineering. So you've got an amazing design aesthetic, but then you've got all the technology that Samsung brings, like you say, all this R&D. I mean, the things you mentioned are just the things that we've shown to the world.
Right.
So you imagine how much is behind the closed doors still work in progress. I mean, we are positioned in a way that we're so advanced, and we can actually then commercialize these products without distribution all around the world.
Yeah, I'm looking at the product now, and I mean, it's quite a beautiful product. And that product is retailing in the U.S. for how much?
US, I think we have $249 for the base model and $349 for the Watch 4 Classic.
Yeah, certainly.
And they're just like, the price points are great. I think one of the options we have, certainly with the carrier markets there, is the ability to buy some of our amazing new foldable devices that we launched and buy the watch and bring it onto the same plan. So then the affordability piece becomes like a no-brainer, really, with the technology that you've got.
No, it's quite impressive. And when you're talking about, this, tell us, you mentioned about fitness professionals and other people, because I think a challenge has been in our space and fitness in general is getting better at integrating this data and experience into business models and other organizations, whether they're the healthcare system, around the world, or whether it's, fitness services or whatever those things are. Where do you see, with trends like personalization, these other kind of trends, collecting all this data, where do you see this, going in general? Do you see health and fitness becoming more and more integrated using these tools?
Yeah, completely, because not only the devices there, but now the platform that we've co-built with Google, the two of the largest companies in the world. We have a platform now that the developers and professionals can actually tap into, because all the APIs are open. But if you look at one of the issues within the kind of the fitness and wellness space is, if you're seeing a client every week, every 2 weeks, every month, the points when you see them are the points maybe where the most progress is made.
Yeah.
But then you may not see that client for 2 or 3 weeks, and by the time you've seen them and then you see their stats, things could have either gone really well or they could have gone off the rails. And then you may have to course correct what's happened in those last 2 to 3 weeks. With this technology, you're able to, as a professional, look at that data in real time, day by day. You can see how the exercise is going with the client. You can see how many steps they're taking. You can see what their heart rate's like. You can see what their sleep quality is like. And then you can you can message them, you can contact them in real time to say, oh, I see your heart rate, resting heart rate's been quite high the last few days. Is there anything going on? Do we need to support you in any way? And not only does that give the health professional the ability to do that in real time and provide that offering, but also the client's going to get better results because they're able to get real-time feedback, and also that can be explained by the professional to explain, oh, this is why that's happened, and give that education piece to the consumer as well. And I think one of the areas that we see is without data, then there is a certain amount of guesswork that goes on. But if you're sitting there with a full suite of real-time data that's tracked every day that you can access from your own portal, I mean, that is really powerful.
That is, and then opening up, as you mentioned in the beginning, this platform for development where people can create all kind of different solutions. It's very fascinating. I'm also fascinated. When did you, if you know, because I don't know, it's this. When did you all start? Because in your devices, you're actually with Samsung Health, also delivering content, right, for health and wellness.
Yeah, we do. So we've had our Samsung Health app, and it's actually our most popular app on our entire platform. All the different Samsung applications. We have millions and millions of users all around the world using Samsung Health to track their day-to-day wellness. We have these monthly step challenges. There's some gamification in there that allows people to, compete against their friends to try to give them extra motivation. We integrate a number of different third-party apps in there. So it's not only on fitness, it's also wellness. So we have partnerships with companies like Calm, so there's meditation apps, sleep apps, sleep monitoring. I mean, our new watches have got sleep monitoring on there, so they'll track to see if you are more prone to snoring at night, so at least you'll be able to course correct or get some plans to improve that. And yeah, the health app has been improved even further. We launched our Health Monitor app, and this is the one that's been certified by health organizations around the world, around US, Europe, Korea, which means that these are medical grade devices that can measure someone's blood pressure from the wrist. We have ECG sensors to measure the heart ECGs. If you just think back 5 years ago, if you wanted an ECG, if you wanted your body bioelectric impedance analysis, you want blood pressure, you're having to physically go many different places, and that is a huge investment. But for less than $300, you have all of it on your wrist, and you can do it yourself.
It's amazing.
The way we've come is amazing.
It is amazing. I mean, as a person that's been writing and speaking about these trends for a number of years, longer than I care to admit, it is amazing that kind of technology can sit on people's wrists with an ecosystem at that price, and really start bridging that gap between the efforts of primary prevention. Managing stress, more exercise, mindfulness around nutrition, quality sleep, hydration, and to have individuals now really have all that on their wrist and in their smartphone, and then a platform that can connect both fitness professionals and health professionals in a 360-degree view around the individual. I mean, that's where, we can really make a big dent in the quality of life for people all over the world. So what, in your opinion, Mark, given these kind of innovations which continue to emerge with companies like Samsung, where do you see, what should professionals be thinking about in the fitness realm maybe when it comes to this? Should they become more aware of that, about these tools and how their clients should think about using them? What would be your thoughts on that subject?
Yeah, so I think one of the other things that we have had to adapt to over the last year and a half is this remote contact, this not being able to go to the gym, not being able to go to the clinic or to the wellness center. So by default, these providers have had to adapt to still be able to offer their service and do it remotely. So either through video calls or phone calls to track everything remotely. If you look at the trends and how telemedicine over the last years has grown just by necessity, if you look at the the propensity for consumers to use wearables to track their health also increased at the same time. You can see these are real trends that are not pushing against consumer resistance. So people don't want to go to the hospital. They don't want to go to the doctors.
Right.
But if you can give them everything that they need within the comfort of their home, with a video consultation, with being able to monitor in real time all of their stats that somebody's using every day wearing on their wrist, this gives time back to the client. It gives time back to the health professional, and for those who are the professionals that are that way inclined, I would encourage them to go and look at these wearables, go and look at this platform that we work with Google, and then have a think about, okay, how can I see these trends and either bring a new business or modify my existing business to offer something that others can't? Because this literally just launched on the 11th of August. So this is fresh, this is brand new. If you look at all of the work that the major technology companies are doing in health, they all set up health divisions because with the technology, with the tracking, we're able to give health solutions to consumers that should, if we execute properly, relieve some of the burden on the critical healthcare. Because if you can catch things in advance, you're going to have a lot better results, and then you reduce some of that critical healthcare burden. So I would encourage anyone who's listening to this thinking, this sounds really interesting, just to go and check out our developer page and Google's developer page and really see what this is all about. And this will develop over the next year, 2 years, and anyone that wants to be in day one on the ground floor, now's the time to start.
Yeah, I agree with you so much. It's such an exciting time when you mention the potential that these devices and this ecosystem provides to really make a meaningful impact to the quality of people's health over the long run. Mark, we're so delighted that you were able to spend some time with us and our listeners. Are there any final notes or insights or thoughts that you would be able to share with the audience? And by the way, we'll have links in the show notes to all the things that you're mentioning. But what are some of your final thoughts, if any, that you have for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, again, thanks so much for the chat. It's really great to introduce this technology and the capabilities that we're bringing to the market. And I think it's we try and do as much as we can to educate on the possibilities, and then people can go and figure it out for themselves. I think what I would say is that anyone that is working in this fitness and health space has a really important role. The health, the quality of health of many consumers around the world is lower than it used to be for all sorts of different reasons. So you have a really important role to play in improving that. Samsung have an important role in enabling those experiences, but we're not able to build all of these solutions. But we build the hardware, we build the platforms, and really it's up to everyone else to make the most of it and go run with what we built. So I would just encourage anyone who wants to learn more, who wants to contact me directly. I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn, just search for Mark Notton, and it would be great to have a chat with anyone, and if we can put anyone in contact with anyone on our side to help with anything that's going to help make best use of this technology, and I'd be more than happy to oblige.
Mark, thank you so much for making time. I know this is a very busy time with the new product launch. Kudos to Samsung for all of their development efforts and research. It costs a lot of money to make these things happen, and we really love their commitment for a better global society and making health a part of that. Mark, again, we're very grateful for your time and sharing your insights.
No, thanks for having me.
Hello, listeners. This is Bryan O'Rourke, and thanks so much for listening to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. The podcast is made possible by the Fitness Industry Technology Council, a consortium of global brands working together to enhance the adoption of technologies in the fitness space. Our company, Videri Ventures, which is invested in Vertimax, Montezuma, Gold's Gym, Houston, Texas, and Fitness 24/7 Thailand, also underwrites the podcast, along with our service companies, Integris Advisors, Moon Mission Media, and others. Please feel free to share this podcast with your colleagues. And if I can be of any assistance to you, don't hesitate to reach out, bryanko'rourke@gmail.com, or find me on any of the major social networks. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.